Ta-da! We're live. Hello, everybody. We got a great show lined up for you today. I actually wrote an outline. It's very exciting. We're going to do some music theory stuff today. We've got an announcement, and then we're going to go over to, I got this tablet thing called Wacom, whatever. And so we're going to go to the whiteboard, the virtual whiteboard, and we're going to talk about some music theory stuff. So if you're watching this and you're sitting down at home, I highly recommend grabbing a piece of paper, because when you write things, your brain's going to encode them a whole lot better. So it's a benefit to you, big benefit to you. And if you're just kind of watching this out of the side of your head, or out of the side of your head, in the background, then I'd recommend, maybe storing these concepts kind of in your thinking memory, and then sitting back down later and skimming through and writing down some of the stuff from here. So I want to start today with a kind of a song example. I'm going to switch this over to my virtual whiteboard background. So there's this question that comes up all the time with music theory, and especially guitar players for some reason, but not with, especially classical musicians, never comes up. They're like, should I learn music theory first? Or should I just learn to play guitar, man? And it's like, there's a mountain, and you can climb the mountain from the east side, or you can climb the mountain from the west side. But either way, to get to the top of that mountain, you're going to go through music theory land. And you're going to go through music theory land on the east side. Maybe you go through music theory land first, and then you go to and you work on your technical guitar playing. And then on the other side, maybe you work on your guitar playing really hard, and then you work on music theory. And either way, you have to go do it to get to the top of the mountain. And absolutely, there's plenty of very successful guitar players out there, very talented guitar players who don't know music theory, right? They're just using their ear. But I've found that music theory is, you shouldn't look at it as I have to use this. It's when you go in the garage and you're working on a car and there's a wrench and a hammer, you're going to choose the right tool for the job. You're not just going to go, oh, I have a hammer, let's use the hammer. Music theory is not like that. So as a quick example of what music theory can allow you to do, is it can allow you to quickly and easily transpose, which is massively beneficial. And a story that I especially wanted to share tonight was one from Ted Leonard, he toured with Transatlantic, which is pretty cool. Very big in the prog world. He's a cool guy. And I met him briefly at Morse Fest, which one was it? 2022? Think so? And I talked to him, I said, how do you become a working, musician? And he said, the most important thing is learning to sing and play at the same time, which I'm okay at doing. I'm not great. I can do some background vocals. But, yeah. So it's a very important skill. Now, if we take a song, the song I got today is I Will Be Found / Lost at Sea by John Mayer. So the chord progression is... pretty much starts like that. And this is actually kind of a weird example, because when you're talking about music theory, it's not like, oh, this is, a minor 7 chord, and this is, major 7, and all that. Yeah, you can talk about it like that. The most functional thing that you're going to get out of it is learning to think about notes as numbers instead of learning to think about them as notes. Because if I say, transpose this, and you're like, what are the chords? And I say C, B flat, F, D, you're like, well, what is that? And you've got to memorize all this stuff, right? But if I say it's, let's call it, technically F is the one, but we're just going to pretend that C is the one for the sake of this example. Don't get technical on me for this. So let's say that C, we're just going to call that 1. And we're going to pretend we're playing C mix 1. There we go. We're going to pretend C is the 1. We're going to pretend this is a flat 7. We're going to call this a 4. And then we're going to call this minor 2. So now if we think about it like that, and I say it's 1, 7, 4, 2, now all of a sudden you can play that anywhere. And you might go, well, I can just take it and I can move it up a fret. Or I can just, keep moving it up, right? But there's going to be situations you might run into where you can't move it up, right? Like, let's say it started on a A, okay? So 1, flat 7 in this case is going to be G. Our 4 is going to be D. And then a minor 2. And I can do that very quickly because I'm thinking about these chord progressions and things. So, and what's great about that is like, I don't sing as low as John Mayer. It's like, it doesn't matter where you are, undone, 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 undone. It's at the very bottom of my range. And I found for me, I have to move that song up about 3 half steps. So I play it like right here. It doesn't matter where you are, and that's a much more comfortable range for me. So what I want to drive home for you guys is, yeah, definitely learn to sing and play. And I'll do a video on that eventually. I kind of have it in the back burner. It's not something I mastered yet, so I don't want to do a video on it for you guys. And then the other thing is, if you learn this music theory stuff, you can learn to move songs around very easily, which is tremendously helpful. Now, the other thing is, I want to give you another really cool example. Let's come up with a melody. Okay, let's come up with Happy Birthday. Because one of the other big questions I saw at John Petrucci's Guitar Universe all the time was, how do I know what chords to play with which melody notes? And that's a kind of a deep question. I'm going to keep it very simple because I want today to be simple because there's so many other music theory things on there that just get way too deep, way too quick, and I understand why it completely overwhelms and frustrates beginners. So let's take Happy Birthday. Now, that doesn't necessarily have a chord per note. We've kind of just got 2 chords there. Those are our chord options. So let me walk you through the notes now and how I'm thinking about this. So let's make up another little harmonization. Sad Happy Birthday now. And the reason you can do that is because there's what's called common tones. So I'm playing D, E, D, G, F sharp. Now we're going to get into how to pick out these notes in just a minute. But chords that I can use with that, chords that have an F in them, F sharp in this case. I can use F sharp minor. I could use D major, or I could use B minor. And I can use that because they all have an F. Let's see. Sorry, I'm bumping the notes. You could even do that. Do that little augmented thing there. Now for the next one, it ends on G. So I want you to, in your head, go, okay, what are 2 notes up from G? And I'm not going to hear you, so you can say the answer out loud. 2 notes up from G. Great. What's 2 notes down from G? The answers are B and E. So I could do E minor. That's got an E, a G, and a B. Another note or another chord that has a G in it is also C. That's kind of funky, right? Now, the last chord we have is, of course, G major, which is kind of the correct answer if you're playing the real version of Happy Birthday. So with all that out of the way, I hope those were some helpful musical examples as to why this is important and kind of how you will use it. Use music theory very, very, very practically. I'm going to set the guitar down. I'm going to move the camera over. We're going to do some announcements, and then we'll hop onto the whiteboard. What's the best way to do this? I'll just leave it. It's fine right there. So the first thing is we've been doing this YouTube channel thing a while, and the thing that has struck me is that it's very funny how people get to a very large subscriber amount, and then they ask for support. And the funny thing is it should actually be paying backwards, because right now I get paid 0 by YouTube, and each one of these videos takes at least 6 hours to make, but usually it's more like 10 to 12. And usually I do them within a week, so it's just an additional 10 hours on top of my work week. It's 10 hours I'm not practicing. And I'd love to work less on business stuff, which I love and enjoy. I love my job. But to have this really be an awesome thing. And one of the things that I think about a lot with the guitar stuff is like, I'm so grateful to have all the amazing teachers and opportunities that I've had, and I want to make this very equitable for everybody. I don't want to, put all of my knowledge behind some ridiculous, insane, paywall, like $1,000 course or whatever. I just don't think that's the place for music. I want everybody to be able to play and enjoy music, and I don't want to really be like paywalled, So what I'm looking at doing is building some kind of members area. And a lot of people on YouTube, they do like a Patreon, they do whatever, right? They do a paid Discord channel that's like integrated now, or they'll do stuff like that. And the way I'm thinking about doing it is there's a membership platform called Circle. And basically the way this works is no matter what you paid, bump the mic. No matter what you paid, you would all get access to the same stuff, whether it's $1, $5, $100 or whatever. And all of that money goes towards is just like me getting gear, or like I want to hire a cameraman so I can like have another view on something, stuff that speeds up production, like getting an editor, stuff like that, so I can do these videos more often. So no matter what you pay, you're all going to get access to the same stuff, unless it's like one-on-one time with me, which I'm being very picky about just in general. I'm not teaching guitar lessons for anybody right now. So the options are a membership platform called circle.so, and that would be like an area where there'd be like a course, which I'll just continually update. I already have an outline written that includes music theory. It includes a lot of like recording basics and stuff I'm learning more about. And so there'll be kind of like an initial release. So Circle would be like you can log on with your Gmail account or whatever, and you can and then there'd be comments and all of that, and we can interact in that platform. And then like the courses would be in there as well. So that's like an all-in-one. You don't have to like create a new account or whatever, but there's that option. And then there's the other option, which I do like a separate course area, and then just like a Facebook group. And I really find that my work being in marketing, that when you do a Facebook group, that people tend to, interact and engage more. It'll just take a bit more like monitoring in terms of like who's a paying member and not. But that's easy enough to figure out. So I wanted to give you guys a poll option, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I can pull up the outline for you guys. Let me switch views real quick here. So we got share, copy. Oh, wow. Okay. Cool. So that is the super exciting announcement. And the reason I want to do all this in like a separate members area instead of just doing it on YouTube is because with YouTube, number one, I can't necessarily control progression. Like, yeah, I can put things in a playlist, but there's sometimes a specific order that it's good to learn things in. Like when it comes to recording, like you should probably learn how to connect your speakers before setting the levels on your sub and your other speakers, right? Like make sure they're connected right. Like I had mine, I was using the whatever, like the audio protocol or whatever. Like I was using Wasapi instead of ASIO like for the longest time, and like I couldn't figure out like why stuff wasn't working. So it's like there's a progression to certain concepts that you don't want to skip around on. And then the other thing like with YouTube is you have to write like a big long intro and like persuade people to watch the video. And it's like having a separate like course thing would let me just get right to the point. A lot of videos, I think people do these like hour-long videos and stuff, and it's like for a lot of people that's overwhelming. Instead, like, what if there was just a 2-minute or a 5-minute or a 10-minute video on a concept that was really tight on just one little thing, so you can go in there, find exactly what you need, and then go on. So that's my my pitch for today. I would appreciate your guys' support, and let me know what you think. Here for you guys. So let me move the camera, and then we're going to switch over to the whiteboard, and we're going to talk about how to do this music theory stuff. Ta-da! We're back. All right. Switch over to this. Let me go over to the whiteboard. Let me just see how this looks real quick. Looks good. All right. Cool. So I got my magic pencil here on this Wacom tablet. And this is the biggest concept that I want you guys to get, is that basically any note can be any number. This is where people get hung up. It's like C doesn't always equal 1. C doesn't always equal 2. D doesn't have to always be 5 or whatever, right? So we're going to start real basic, and we're going to represent a scale as just a set of numbers, okay? 6, 7. This is a scale. So we work in Western music theory. We work on something called tertian harmony. I'm just going to space this out a little bit. So the way that tertian harmony works, tertian means 3, is that we're going to say that, oops, I don't need that, is we're going to start with 1, and then we're going to skip a note, and we're going to grab a 3, and then we're going to grab 5, okay? So every third note we're going to grab, and that's going to be a chord. So let's say, if we wanted to build the 2 chord, we would grab 2, and then skip 1, and then grab 4, and then 1, 2, and then grab 6. And then if we wanted to build a 3 chord, we grab 3, skip, grab 5, and then grab 7. And the more you work with this, you'll be able to go, 1, 3, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6, 4, 6, 2. You'll get fast with it. So basically all this starts with building which is called a chord matrix. So you say, oops, let me grab that 7 back. And I'm just gonna, we'll just go like this. So we grab 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then once we get to 7, it repeats. So 1, 2. And then so we got 1, and then we got right to 3, and then 3. So we'll start with 5 right here. So 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta-da! So now our 1 chord is built of 1, 3, 5. Just like this. Our 3 chord is built of 3, 5, and 7. And our 5 chord is built of 5, 7, 2, and so on, right? So now what you can do, let me switch to mouse, and I'm going to grab all of this. See if I can grab all these things. I'm just going to move them down real quick. No worries. Oh, hey, you know what we can do? I can move. Ta-da! So now, let's take this little concept we had of our matrix, 1, 3, 5, like this, and now let's write it out with a scale, okay? So let's just do C, okay? So if we write C, D, E, F, G, A, B, ta-da! And we're going to have 1, 2, this is going to be representative of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, ta-da! So now we're going to write our chord matrix. So we're starting on C, so we're going to skip 1 note and grab our E. We're going to go from E, 1, 2, and we're going to grab G. So our first chord can be expressed either as 1, 3, and 5, which are called scale degrees, or it can be expressed as C, E, and G. So I'll write these out. So C, E, G. Great. And if you're not writing along, I highly recommend grab a piece of paper. This is pretty easy, right? Now our next one is going to be E. There's two ways to do this. You can go E. What's after E? Well, F is after E. Or you can go the way I'd prefer, because the process of how you think about something is very important in this. I want you to be thinking in a particular way instead of just taking the easiest route. Your brain will take the easiest route, but sometimes when you take the easiest route, you don't build the type of thinking that you should be building. So what's 2 after D? Well, 2 after D is F. And then what's so E? What's 2 after E? It's going to be G. So you can write it across like this. That's kind of the easy thinking way about it. Or you can think about it as 1, 2, and then get the next note. So I'm going to finish filling this out. So G, A, B, C, D, and then G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Ta-da! We built a chord matrix. And I'm just going to try to draw these lines so that you can see what these chords are. So now if you go to a keyboard, all of these are going to have a particular quality. And let me see if I can get Omnisphere to speak to you guys, because that would be super cool. Sure. Okay, so we got Omnisphere. Hey, it's working. Gotta make sure. Great, it's not super loud for you guys. Okay, and let me grab the space piano. Space. There it is. Okay, cool. So now I have a little keyboard over here. Turner. Okay, so let's go through these, and we're just going to mark out what's major and what's minor, okay? This is very important because this pattern is going to repeat no matter whether you build this in C sharp major or D flat major. You could express it as either if you know about enharmonics, which eventually we'll get to, right? I want to keep this simple and keep it functional for you guys, so let's play that. Sounds nice. Does that sound major or does it sound minor? Now let's play the next one. Our next one is D, F, and A. Sounds sad to me. Sounds minor. Our next one is E minor, so. That one's minor as well. Next one is A. That one's major. Then we've got G. That one's major. And then we've got A. So A, C, E, A, C. That one's minor. And then we get to the last one, which is B, D, and F. And that one's diminished. Cool. And this space piano rings out forever, so let's see if we can get a different piano that we like. All of these sound insane. That was nice. Okay, cool. So let's write out what's major and what's minor, and then I'm going to show you how to express these as numbers. So our first one was major, and we can call that with a capital M. Okay, zoom in, size this up just a little bit. Can't delete that line. So and then you can represent these with a lowercase m for minor. So lowercase, our 3 is with a minor. I'm going to make that a little more clear. Nice round. Our 4 is major, and our 5 is major. Our 6 is minor, and then this one is represented as just a degree sign. I'm just going to write dim for now. And this pattern will repeat across anything you do. If you know your scales, which I haven't come up with a really fantastic way to teach scales yet, and when I do, I will make that video. So don't worry about the sharps and flats right now. That's another video. Let's just talk about this. So we can also represent this as, let's get this guy out of the way. I wish there was like a whole group select thing. That'd be great. Clean this up just a sec. Need a little more space. Cool. So we can also represent these chords as Roman numerals, and this is really the classical music thing to do. So a capital Roman numeral means major, and a lowercase Roman numeral means minor. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Our 4 is major, and that's 1 below 5, just like that. And then if it was minor, you'd write it like that. Don't worry about that for now. capital 5 for major, and then minor is going to be 6 plus 1, like that, and then diminished is written like this. So you can express these as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, diminished like that. So you can represent these as numbers, or you can represent them as Roman numerals, or you can just call them major and minor. But you can always build out this scale matrix, and you can say, oh, my melody, let's grab a different color here, oops, like this. My melody has an E in it, and it's got a G, and it's got a B. Well, which chords have an E and a G and a B? Well, maybe for your first one, you could write C. Do you want your melody to be happy or sad? Okay, pick a chord that has an E in it that is also minor. Let's see. This one happens to be minor, so you've got an E. So you could use any of these chords. You could use C if you wanted it to be happy. You could use E if you wanted it to be minor, or you could use A. They all have E in it, right? So that is kind of the outline right now. I'm just going to check for questions real quick. No questions, so we'll go back to this, and we'll do another little example. That looks crazy. Let's try to fix that. Cool. So let's write out another matrix, and then we can maybe talk about some making stuff major and minor. I think that would be really helpful for you guys. So let's do it in the key of G. We like G. So we got G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. We have an F sharp in here. Then we'll write out our chords. I kind of like doing them vertically. It's a good way to think about it. A, C, E, oops, and B, D, F sharp in this case. C, E, G, D, F sharp. We've got all our F sharps right here. F sharp A, E, G, B, and F sharp A and C. And then let's write out our chord qualities. So this is going to be major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, and then diminished. All right, dim, just like that. So, ta-da! Now we're thinking in key of G major, right? So if, let's say a song is made up of, let's get a little more space over here. So let's say there was a song that was made up of a 1 chord, a 4 chord, and a 5 chord. And let's say that song you wanted to do in the key of G major. Well, what's our 1 chord in G? Well, it's G, B, D. G, B, D. Ta-da, there's your 1 chord. What's your 4 chord? G, A, B, C. C is number 4. And what's our chord? It's C, E, G, just like that. Ta-da, there's your 4 chord. Now you know what to play. And our 5 chord is, ta-da, D, and in this case, F sharp, A. Boom, there's your 5 chord. Awesome. Now let's do it in C. So let's do it in C. So C, and we don't have the chord matrix in front of this, so this is some good brain stretching. So C, our 4 is going to be F, and then G, G, B, D, F, A, C, and C, E, G. Ta-da! Now you know the song in C major. So this is a really helpful, applicable way to do music theory. I hope you guys are liking it. Now let's talk about changing chord qualities and things we can do with that. So let me scooch on over here. Check for questions again. No questions. Cool. Let's talk about changing chord qualities. So there's something you can do called modal mixture. So modal mixture, ideally you would want to know all your key signatures and stuff for this. I'm going to take a drink. You'd want to know all your key signatures, but I don't think you have to know them in order to start using this concept. So if we have a, let's write out our chromatic scale. So we have C, C sharp, D flat, then we have E, what do we got? Sorry, E flat, D, D sharp slash E flat, then we have F, F sharp, G flat, then we have G, G sharp, close enough, A flat, then we have A sharp, B flat, B, and then we have C again. So these are our 12 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. These are our 12 notes in music, right? So let's say we wanted to, like, let's look at that John Mayer song. That John Mayer song starts in C. So our first chord is C. So if we assumed that the whole song was C major, which it's not really in C major, it's really in a mode, but don't worry about that for now. If we assumed it's in C, well, why doesn't he go from C to B, D, and F if their key is C? Well, it's because F is a diminished chord, and it's not going to sound very nice, right? So what you can do is you can say, well, I want to use B flat. So the way you would express this is you'd have a capital Roman numeral 1 if this was going to be your 1 chord, and then you'd have a 7, and you'd write flat in front of it. Sorry, this would be flat major 7 is one way you could express that. Now, the other thing you can do is, let's say you had a, let's make up a little chord progression here. Let's use one of my chord progressions. So I use C, and let's talk about this. If you say C, and then there's a slash, and then there's an E below. This E just means that the first chord is C, E, and G. So you'd play it like this, with a C on the bottom. Now if you say C over E, it just means that there's an E on the bottom. And so that's a leading tone. So now, and this is called an inversion. So we'd have E, G, and then we move that C to the top. Ta-da! And then we've got F. So we've got F, and then G, and then C. So let's call this box 1. Ta-da! Let's finish writing out our chords. F, A, C. So you go and you play through this, and G, B, D. So let's play through this little chord progressions. Ta-da! Now let's borrow some chords from another key. So let's do C. Let's do C over E again, and then let's go to F, and then let's go to E flat. Let's see how that sounds real quick. That's not quite how I played it. Let's try C. There we go. Yep, that's how I did it in my song. So C, and then let's go to E flat. Now we're talking in chord functions. So C, C, E, G. Again, we're going to have that C. We're going to have E, G, and we move that C to the top like this. And then we're going to get this other chord, which is E, G, and B flat. And now we have a challenge, is we have to get back to C in a way that makes sense. So if I play C, you can kind of do that. But what you can also do is you can say, look at this. This G right here is common to our E flat major scale, and it's also common to C, E, G. G is the 5 in C, and that's G, B, and D. So what you can use, and this 5 in music theory will basically always go back to, ta-da, our 1 chord. Now, so I'll play it for you, and then your ear is going to be like, yeah, I like that. Ready? So let me finish undoing this. So here's C. It's got this powerful kind of sound, and we're borrowing a chord from another key. Let me finish writing that out. So G, G, B, D. So a way we could express this is 1. This would be 1. If you're doing the classical notation, which we're not going to get into today, 1, 6. And then this 3, well, it would really be, if we're in C, right, it would just be a minor 3, right, E, G, B. But we're actually doing E flat. So E flat relative to C is a flat, and then we're also playing a major chord, so it's going to be flat major 3 to 5, and then to 1. So these are some things you can do where you could maybe say, you know, this is part A, and this is part B. Let me grab a different color for that. Get this rainbow stuff. So this is your part A of the song, it's your part B of the song. And now you've got some more kind of tonal interest with the song, which is something I'm always looking for in my music. So is this all making sense to you guys? Let's switch over to here and see if there's any questions. And we don't have any questions. And let's see. Cool. Well, I hope this was helpful to you guys. I don't want to overwhelm you with insane music theory stuff and seventh chords and chord qualities and stuff like that. I just want you to really master this 1-3-5, 2-4-6, 3-5-7 kind of thing. Because if you just get that, I'm telling you, if you just get that, you're going to be so much more versatile in so many situations. So that's all I got for today. Sincerely hope it was helpful. If you haven't watched the pentatonics by numbers video, that video would go very well along with this video. So I hope you enjoyed it. Always here for questions and things. Check one last time. And we got none. So I'm going to call it.